Excited about today's show. I'm going to be speaking with a very, very special guest, one of the founders of the PMP. So I'm really excited to get into today's topic. I think there's so many questions that I have, and I'm sure that you people have as well. So uh, as we are trickling in, um, if you have any questions, just some quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat, and we will get to them either during the conversation or after. We'll do our best to get to them. All right. All right. So without further ado, let me introduce the guest. So Lee, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been looking forward to this. Glad we finally hooked up.
Yeah, no, me too, me too. So Lee, for those that don't know who you are, please would you just briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'll be glad to. I'm Lee Lambert, of course, and then a couple of things to highlight, and then that's all you'll need to know. Is I've been practicing project management for almost 60 years now. I have been a PMI member for 48 years. I think I might be one of the last living members from the old days. And I'm a PMI Fellow, which is only 87 of those in the world. And I was one of the 5 people that was invited to create and implement the PMP process. So
Hmm.
other than that, I just travel around now. The last 6, 8, 10 years, all I do is travel to chapters all over the world and share my story and answer questions for them. So it's been a great career for me.
Amazing, amazing. And by the way, so I know a lot of people read RSVP for today's event. So we usually like to know where people are calling in from. So please just put in the chat, like introduce yourself, where you're calling in from, just so we sort of know where we are all dialing in from. But yeah, so amazing stuff. So Lee, let's start from the top. How did this come about? Like, how what's the story behind the PMP? How did it come about in the first place?
Well, it's in 1981. I had just recently transferred here to Columbus, Ohio, to start a new division called, coincidentally, the Project Management Division. And PMI wrote a letter to our CEO requesting my availability to help them develop and implement a professional certification process. There was none in existence at the time. We had looked around and saw all these other organizations were professionals, which gave them a distinction that was over and above project managers. We were just project managers. We didn't have anything. So these 5 guys, 4 guys and a gal, got together and formed PMI in 1969, and it just slowly grew. First 10 years or so, there were maybe 6, 8, 10 chapters. There are now 309 chapters all over the world. And what happened was it seemed to click with people that I'm doing all this project management stuff, but I'm not recognized as a quote project manager because we have no professional association. So once we created that, our first test was in '84 in Philadelphia, and we had 59 candidates to sit for the exam, and 39 passed. So we had the beginnings of our professional association. And each year, in the beginning, you could only take the test once a year, just at the National Symposium, what we now call the Global Summit. But we realized fairly quickly into it that you're not going to get too many members if you only do it once a year.
Right.
So we started making it available outside of the symposium, and numbers began to grow. In 1976, which is about 75 really, 95, sorry, 95, we had about 6,000 members. So in 10 years, we'd only gained 6,000 members. So we were a little disappointed with how that went. But what happened was in those same years, all of the major corporations in America, the IBMs, the AT&Ts, the Motorola's, you name them, all embraced the PMP as their internal project management certification process. And from that point on, the peer pressure, the idea that you got a higher position with the certification, all those things now started to take hold, and the number of people applying to take the exam went up almost exponentially. Now we're at about 1.7 million PMPs now. I predicted we'll hit 2 million by the time the decade's over. And it looks like what I do is I sign a personal note to everybody that gets their new PMP. It makes me aware of it through LinkedIn mostly. I send them a note. Well, I'm doing 10, 15, 20 of those a day. That's how much it's grown in terms of recognition. The international market's just now starting to light up to where they're doing boot camps, they're doing all the things that we've been doing here for years. So I don't see that number slowing down at all. I think it's going to continue to grow. And people, I mean, I hear things all the time. You've changed my life. You've created a platform that I can build my career on and on and on. And I have to remind them, it's just not me. I just happen to be the only one left alive out of those first 5. But it took dozens of people to create this. It was much more challenging than I had thought it would be.
And thanks for sharing that. But going to the top, so the first 5 people, were you project managers before you founded the PMP?
No, I joined in '78. PMI was founded in '69, and we didn't start the PMP until '81. You see, we were testing people for the PMP before we even had a PMBOK. The first PMBOK was issued in 1996. And so we had to use volunteer questions from experts that have been in the field for a long time to create our tests. And back then we had 8 body of knowledge areas, 40 questions in each, 320 question test. They gave you all day to take the test, 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon. Well, things have changed a lot. I mean, we've seen that you don't need 320 questions to determine whether somebody's a professional or not. And so now we're down to 200. Actually, we're down to 175 because some of the questions don't count, which is an odd thing. I'm not a test specialist, so I don't know what that means. But there's 200 questions, only 175 of them count. You got to get them done in about 3 hours and a half. And you can take it at home. You can take it at a testing center. So we've made it a lot. Pandemic helped us with that because people who wanted to get certified couldn't because of the pandemic. So we created an in-home testing process, which is coming under some criticism because it's very strict in the proctoring of the exam. But nonetheless, it gave people a chance to not have to go out to still take the exam. So it's been something that the 5 people, and I only knew 3 of them. There were 2 that I never did meet, but they really wanted to make this profession professional. And in their view, this is kind of the final piece to make it really a truly profession, to have its own certification. And so that was kind of the last big dream that those guys had. And now the new members, the new turnover, the fresh, excited, enthusiastic people are just taking it to another level. Our new CEO that's come in, Pierre Lamont, he's outstanding. He's done things that I wish other directors would have done years ago. So he's doing a lot of catching up and making this a real top-notch organization.
Right. So at the beginning, the people that founded the PMP, were they from a particular industry?
Yeah, the PMP, there was myself. I'm R&D guy. So I was R&D. John Adams and Dean Martin were both professors at Western Carolina University in the contracting area. That was their specialty. And there's a lady, I was trying to think of her name today, from Denver, who's unfortunately passed away. She was involved with it. If you remember, Hartley, Ken Hartley is the only guy in the world that has been president of PMI twice. Uh,
Mm,
he's also passed away. Well, they've all passed away but me. And so he was involved. So we had 5 people core. Within the year, that grew to like 12. Oh, and we had a student from Western Carolina, a kid named Charles Lambert. And I've kept track of him a little bit. He was a big contributor on the committee. I
mm,
found him down in Texas, works for, I think it was General Motors, a car company, and has risen to pretty good heights. So I talked to him briefly, and he remembers all the things we were doing at the time, and he stuck with it. He's a PMP, it's kind of nice to talk to some of these guys that say, "Oh, I got my PMP, 22 years ago. I got my fifth review," and so there's so many people out there
mm.
that have really built their life around the proceeds of being a PMP.
Right, right. I read somewhere that the PMP started out very focused on the construction industry. Is that accurate or no?
No, that is very accurate. In fact, I make fun of this all the time. We were born as a construction outfit, and now we've morphed into an IT. But that's kind of the way it happened. The oldest, the member number one was Eric Jeanette, and he worked for Brown and Root Construction in Houston. Gordon Davis worked in Atlanta. He owned his own construction company. And now the other two were in the pharmaceutical business, and then me as an R&D. So I guess I would be the guy in the middle.
Mm,
So the ones in pharmaceutical, one was a lady. She never had much of a presence that I could see, but she was one of the founders. And but they recognized it was a construction outfit, and unfortunately, what happened was IT happened, and when IT happened, everybody jumped to IT, but kept their certification, and therefore started to promote the certification for IT. Now you see what's happening in the last 2 or 3 years. We're going back to construction. We've implemented a construction certification. I've taken the courses. I'm not getting certified because I can't qualify. I've worked at 10 years of construction, but I've taken all the courses. They're darn good. And when people graduate from that, they're certified as a construction professional. So it's weird how we've gone back to the old. We've
mm,
reverted to where we started. And people are really excited about that. And to tell you the truth, the number of construction people and the size of the budgets that are being approved for these projects, they require some really, really good project management. So
mhm.
it's been a good thing for us to see the economy do well. We see projects all the time that are 30, 40, 50, 100 million, not unusual at all. Kuwait or Saudi now has their Noem project on the roof. That's
Right.
about 3 trillion
Mm,
over the 10-year period. So yeah, there's a lot of money being spent on construction, and a lot of new certifications. We only started testing about 2 years, and it's in the hundreds already. And
wow.
I think that'll grow very quickly once people start to see how good the courses are.
Right. I want to go into the evolution of the PMP. But by the way, I just want to remind you, like, this is a golden opportunity. We have one of the last founders of the PMP here. So please, anything that you want to know about the PMP, any question that you feel like you want to ask, like, just ask them in the chat. Like, I feel like this is a very rare opportunity. So Lee, you did mention that the PMP started out, I guess, heavy on the construction side, and then IT came and things changed, and now we've sort of splintered into having maybe a specialized PMP for the construction space. Is that the evolution, or maybe can you add more nuance there? Like, how has the PMP evolved since the beginning until until now?
Well, you got to remember, in the beginning, it was it was just a thought. Maybe people would like to be certified. And so for the first few years, we weren't aggressive about it at all. Having it once a year obviously stated that. But then we started to get feedback from people that it was a differentiator in their job. They learned things as they prepared to be a PMP that made them look better than some of their peers. And suddenly the organizations said, hey, that's right. We should really give a special place for people that are certified. So they started to create internal groups that would prepare to be certified. And with that, at the time, now that's changed a little since then, but at the time, there was money involved. When you got your Sprint, for example, I sold a Sprint account when I was with ESI, and they trained thousands. Well, when they first started, if you got your PMP, you got a $5,000 bonus. And well, that gets a lot of attention, $5,000. And so after about 2 years, they stopped doing that because I trained thousands of Sprint people. So they said, well, this isn't going to work. It's really a little too expensive. So they backed off of that. But by then, it had been implemented that there was a difference, that it was truly a differentiator in their career. And I still tell people that today. I said, you can hold up two people, one with and one without. The one with's going to get a job a lot faster than the one without. And that's proven to be true. Anywhere in the world I go, everywhere in the world, it's now recognized as a differentiator. And generally that means salary differential. In fact, our PMI study of salaries have said up to 30% delta for a PMP versus a non-PMP. That's a lot of money. And so as you see that's an incentive. You got to remember, there's always more incentive than just being better at what you do, because I think we all want to do well. So we see the differentiator. We see what PMI is doing with their meetings and their summits, and they're bringing peers together to exchange ideas. All of that comes with the PMI organization. And so there's so many different benefits that have come from the PMP that everybody knows. The PMP, in fact, we joke about it. I don't know if Pierre would, but we joke about it. It's the cash cow. I mean, you can remind people, if we didn't have the PMP, we wouldn't have PMI, not as we know it now, because it's generated all the revenue. And so PMP is really the foundation upon which PMI has been built. And I think that I think it's the right thing. I think we can see the best form of flattery is imitation. So we see now Google has one, Enemy has one, everybody's got one, but they don't have PMP. We've had people take their tests and they don't have PMP. But it's competitive because there's money to be made by people who create that. In our case, especially now with Pierre, he pours that money right back into the organization. In the old days, everybody thought PMI was a money hunger. That everything cost money. You couldn't do anything without money. Well, Pierre's changed that. He's now got a full spectrum of courses that are free. The construction courses, the AI courses. Now he's one of the world's leaders in AI. He's created a bunch of AI. I've taken them all. They're great. So it's changed its face a little bit with the new management. Our core values are basically the same. We've tweaked our culture. We've tweaked our values a little bit, but I mean, I'm 48 years in. I haven't seen any dramatic changes that would upset me, I guess is what I should say.
Right. So I think this is a good time to pivot into some of the criticisms that people have about the PMP. So one of them, you already talked about that, the PMP is really it's a cash grab opportunity. But maybe the other one I want to tackle is that the PMP is too rigid, right? Like a lot of people feel like it is, especially maybe like taking that in the IT space, in the technology space, in the software space, like it is too rigid, and there are people that are very anti PMP. What's your take on that?
Well, that's what I hear on the street too. I haven't heard the word rigid, but I think I know what you mean. Uh, Now, remember when we first started, everything was predictive. I mean, that's all we had.
Hmm.
When IT came, when the manifesto came out and people started to move towards that, then we had to update the test. We can't have somebody be certified if they only know predictive.
Right.
So they did that, but unfortunately, because it's prepared by volunteers, everything in PMI is pretty much volunteers. Uh, we started to see more questions about IT creep in than we saw predicted. And so now what I hear, and nobody gets to see the exam, at least I don't, uh, I've heard as high as 75% of the exam is IT oriented, is agile oriented. Okay. Well, that's too much. I mean,
Hmm.
we still have all these construction jobs, for example, those are predictive jobs. They may be hybrids with some agiles worked in, but the job itself is predictive. Well, that's half the people in project management, but yet we got a 75%. And now with AI, if they add AI on top of the 75%, we're going to be 100% software oriented.
Hmm.
And I think everybody's talking about it. I haven't heard any solution, but I think is something that says to the predictive project manager, you're being sort of squeezed out
Right.
in terms of the exam. If they're only going to test you for 25%, then you gotta learn Agile when you don't use it.
Hmm.
There's some comments about that going around, but people are still taking it. They take it and complain too darn many agile questions. So over the years, now I haven't seen PMBOK 8, uh, so I don't know what's in that, but I think I've heard it goes back more towards 6 than it did 7. 7 was principle based, 6 was process based. And
Right.
so some people feel like they went too far with the principle. I actually kind of liked it, but uh, I haven't seen 8, so I don't know if they've tried to go back a little bit to more of the 6, which is much more predictive than we thought it would be. That gets reviewed every 4 years.
Hmm.
So every 4 years we update that. Now it took longer than 4 years when the PMBOK 7 came out because it was so different. So it actually took 5 years to get that particular PMBOK released and examined, modified, and so on. But it's generally every 4 years it gets revised. Their feeling is with the PDUs the way they are, people should be trying to stay up to speed with the body of knowledge. Every 4 years, it will have changed enough that the exam needs to be modified to show that it's current with the body of knowledge.
Right. So, that's such a there are a couple of things that you mentioned that I'm just finding out for the first time. First of all, I didn't know that a lot of this was handled by volunteers. That's very interesting. The second thing is, I guess maybe this is more of a question. Like, how did it happen that we swung from a very predictive type of certification to one that sort of swung the other direction, where it's now 75%?
Well, have you heard the saying "squeaky wheel gets the oil"?
Hmm.
What happened with that is the IT people became so adamant about their growth of their side of the business. I mean, it took years for them to take over, but they eventually did. And the reason they did is a lot of money was being spent. Y2K was a big deal on that. It turned a lot of people into software people, and so they were kind of demanding that they be equal, that there be a comparison. And so in PMI's attempt to balance things out, I think maybe they might have gone a little bit too far, and that's what I'm seeing happen. I don't know. I honestly don't know if I were to take the exam today. I doubt I would pass. I'm not an agilist by any stretch. So I make sure I keep my dues current. Take that test again.
Nice, nice. But that's interesting. So, eh, eh, and I guess I'm thinking out loud. So, is the answer to try to satisfy everybody, or should we like just, like maybe that's n- not maybe that's not the right thing to do. Like we can't really satisfy everybody, but we should now splinter into specialized
Yeah,
certification.
no, I don't think we intentionally think about it in terms of satisfying everybody. I think, especially now with Pierre, I think what we're thinking about now is we've got to satisfy the profession because now we're going to have AI people, we're going to have predictive people, we're going to have agile people, and God knows what comes next. So I think Pierre's thought is we need to have a balanced assessment of people's skills. But unfortunately, I'm going to go on record here because I don't think anybody likes me to say this, but I would say it anyway. I'm not a big fan of boot camps. I think what's happening with boot camps is destroying the credibility of the PMP. Because when I've given speeches to hundreds of people, I sometimes will ask the question, how many of you have your PMPs? Oh, sure, all hands shoot up, everybody's excited about that. And then I'll say, how many of you work with someone who has it but isn't? Hands go up. And that was my first clue. We got people out there that have a PMP who aren't PMPs. The PMP says you're certain capabilities. And if you go through these boot camps, I don't think you can take a person with 3 years of experience, lock them in a training room for 4 days, preparing to take a test, give them the test, pass, give them their PMP. They go out and get hired and screw the job up because they're not really PMPs. Now, the ATP people are going to hate me for that, but the fact of the matter is, I run into them all the time. If I were to question some of these people, they would have no clue. But they got their PMP. They paid X amount of dollars, got their PMP. Now that means that they tell their boss they got it, they get a different pay category, and then the only time the boss finds out is when he signs somebody a project and they don't know what to do with it. And they say, well, wait a minute, I thought you were PMP. So pretty soon they start saying, well, maybe this PMP doesn't really do what we thought it did. Well, I don't want that to happen. I think generally the majority of PMPs are truly PMPs, but I think somehow we need to get some way to confirm that those outputs of the boot camps are really qualified. I mean, maybe it's more years of experience to qualify to take the exam. I'm not sure, but I think that's something we need to pay attention to.
Right. No, that's such an interesting point. So, do you think that I know we're thinking out loud here, but do you think maybe this is a gap with the exam itself? Maybe because if people can sort of game the system, then it destroys the credibility of the certification.
Yeah, no, I think it does. As I told you earlier, I'm not a test specialist by any stretch, but I did talk with one of the PMI people who does have access to the exam, and she was telling me that maybe in a couple of years we'll be able to give an exam with 25 questions, and there'll be 25 balanced, thorough, clear that if you pass that test, you're good. I mean, why does it take 200 to know? No, she says if you create the right exam, then you can do it with a lot less questions. And so I tell people that are in the hiring, there were some of them in Dallas that made a presentation about how they screen people and so on. I think that I could create 10 questions that if you ask those 10 questions to a candidate for a job in project management and they didn't get them right, show them the door. Because that's kind of what it's about. If you are, you are. And if you're not, you're fake, you're phony. And so they spent. I had a girl from India just finished her 9th round of interviews with Amazon. 9 rounds. You mean it takes me 9 rounds to find out whether you're a good employee or not? I think they're the ones that ought to be going through the interviews. So I think it's important to know, the number of interviews doesn't determine if they'll be good or not. It's
Right.
the questions that you ask.
Right. Right. No, I know that's something that many people are complaining, and we're seeing that interviews are taking longer. But yeah, no, I think this is really fascinating. I guess I'm still trying to go back to because with the PMP, I know you mentioned like there's a specialized PMP exam or certification for people in construction. With AI coming now, and then with I don't know what's going to come in the future. Like I, I I I don't know. Does it make sense to still have one exam that sort of tests? Or well, maybe because like what we do as project managers is that we execute, right? So maybe like we are really testing the rigor and the know-how when it comes to executing, because we execute similarly. There are commonalities when it comes to execution across every space. So I don't know, maybe that's what we should be testing. I don't know. I feel like I'm just thinking out loud and rambling here. I don't Did that make any sense?
Well, I don't know when the construction started the rebirth process, they had an option to either roll those questions into the exam as it exists now, or create a separate exam, specialty exam. So that's why I took the 4 courses, is I wanted to see what the difference was. And they were right. Those topics covered in those 4 courses shouldn't be in a predictive test. They're about rules, they're about configurations, and about laws, and so that was the right thing. Well, I can see that there may be thinking. I don't know that there is. There may be thinking that maybe we should have a predictive exam and an agile exam, and whatever those cases may be, where they could have all of the questions be focused on that particular topic,
Right.
rather than saying, well, you got half and half, so you're half good and half good. So
Right.
I think that's a thought. I've been proposing, no one's listening, to some kind of a higher level PMP that really takes it, my thought is to catch those phonies, catch those fakes, a higher level of PMP that if you're really not top dog, you're really not good, you're not going to get it. And so that's what the IPMA, I don't know if you know much about them, but their certification process has levels, 3 or 4 different levels. So whatever your responsibilities are, your role is, that's the level you would try to be certified in. Where we have one certification to
Right.
cover it. Now, I think we tried to address it. I wasn't a party to this, but I think, we have all the subordinate, we have risk, we have quality, we have all those subordinate certifications. And I think that's what was in the back of their mind, is to say, well, we don't have a separate one in total, a higher level, but we can get more specific in those subordinate topics, which they have. I highly recommend the risk management course. But there's so many different thoughts, and you can. I have a lot of IPMA friends, and we argue about this all the time. I mean, they think theirs is better. I think ours is better. It doesn't really matter as long as you're getting qualified people.
Right.
So a lot of, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot. Some very well-known PMI people have changed horses in midstream, are now IPMA. So they had some reason why they changed. I've never given it any consideration, but I think that the message would, if we could, and Pierre has had some discussion about this with IPMA. If we could do more together, more collaboration,
Right.
I think that would lead to a benefit for the profession.
For sure.
I think Pierre is working on that. I think we may have a couple of things lined up to do in joint. So we'll see. We have so much room to grow in terms of numbers. I mean, think about it. The number of people who are actually project managers are far more than the number that are certified project managers. So we've still got a huge group of people that could benefit greatly from what we have learned over the years. But right now we're at about 750,000. That didn't change much this last year. I think we were focusing on other issues, but I'd like to see us get to 1 million.
Sorry, 750,000 what? PMP certified?
No reason when you count the number of people that actually are project managers, 1 million would seem like that's like a drop in the bucket. So I think at some point in time we'll try membership. I think what Pierre's status is, he wants to make sure he's given all of the members what they expect to get for being a member of the association. So I think that's where his focus is right now.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, Pierre is gonna come on the show at some point, so really excited about that. So by the way, so you all yeah, so I'll be able to ask him and pose some of these questions. Awesome. All right, so we're gonna get. By the way, don't forget, leave your questions, and we'll get to them. I want to talk about one more criticism of the PMP before we now move on to other topics. I think the other criticism of the PMP is that a lot of people, what they learn in the PMP, they don't apply in their day-to-day in the real world. What's your take on this?
Well, what's happening, I hear it everywhere I go now, is there's this crying for applied training, applied project management training, that really show them. I mean, right now, most of our training is theory. It's theory-based, and you sit in the classroom or you watch a video and you go, okay, I actually understand that, but you don't really know what that means. You don't really know how that works. And so we see more and more companies looking to say, well, let's do something where it's let's call it a workshop, and let's have them do the things that they just learned in the theory-based program last month. So I think you're going to see more and more call for that by students more than by management, because the students, when they go to try to apply something they've theoretically been exposed to, it's a struggle. Because no one's there to answer your questions. They don't really give you that hands-on look. So I think applied, I think that's the future. I know there's a group in PMI that's trying to give applied training. I think it's called Pure. Pure. I'm an ambassador for them because I agree with training. I don't think it's to replace what we have now. I mean, you're not going to replace all the efforts that's been put into the PMP and related training programs. But if they're crying out for applied, these courses may satisfy some of the need for that. I know. I mean, I'm more of a theoretical student too, because I don't have a chance to apply all these things. But all those construction things, I mean, I'd never be able to apply those. But I'm glad now that I went through it, because now I can sympathize with the people that have a construction job. Why is it taking so long? Why are you having trouble? Well, now I can understand why it's taking so long.
Yeah. Why is my renovation taking so long? Yeah. All right. So I want to pivot to now, like, where do you see things headed? Where do you see this profession headed? Because I don't remember, there was this study, I think it was maybe released by PMI, or this paper released by PMI, that we're expecting, is it about 20 to 30 million PMs? I don't remember the exact number. So basically,
24, I think what they said. 24
sorry, 24 million. Yeah. So, and these, I don't know if these are official PMs, because you also have people that will be managing projects, but will not necessarily have the project manager title. So maybe that number might even be more, right?
I think
So,
yeah.
where do you see things?
What to point out to you, out of that 24 million, they're claiming about 13 million are retirees. So you got to discount that as saying, well, we're just replacing those we lost. Anything above that then are the new people.
Right. And you know, this even makes the situation even maybe a bit more complex, right? Because we're going to have a lot of people that are going to retire. So how do you see things evolving? Right. And you know, and sorry, before you answer that, Lee, also, you know, I'm gonna just inject, we have AI coming, and we, you know, God knows what's gonna come. So how do you just see things evolving from now?
I believe AI is going to change a lot of things. Okay. I've been playing around with it. I wasn't a big fan when it first came, but now that I've started to look at it, if I just talk about project management, not just theoretical things, the beautiful pictures, all that, I don't care about any of that. But if I look at it from a project management perspective, the ability to plan more effectively, to status more effectively, to project and do risk management more effective, all of those items are significantly improved with the use of AI. So your project manager is not going to be not needed because AI does this. He or she's going to actually have more time to do innovative, creative thinking about the project. I think it's going to be dramatically effective. I think people that are worried about AI, come on, wake up. If you're not going to embrace AI, you better get in another field because that's where it's going. There's no pulling any punches there. It's AI is here to stay.
Right. And B, no, 100%, I agree. Now, in terms of the people that are going to be leaving the PM space, right? People that are going to be retiring. Do you see that as a problem? Because you said 13 million out of the 24 will, you know, will retire. I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
We've talked about that a lot. It is a problem when I mean, it's just like I used to work in R&D a lot, and when we had a world class PhD change jobs and go to another company, that's an intellectual property void that you don't have, and nobody else has it because that was the guy who did it. Well, theoretically, that's what we're faced with. Is if we've got 13 million people that are professionals that are retiring, who backfills the intellectual property? So we're trying to move people up and train people to become more impactful in their project management before this retirement thing hits.
One random thought that I've been, so you know, a lot of us that are PMs, we accidentally become PMs. What about if people maybe from high school, like they straight away they know like their goal is to become a PM, and you don't have to go through this detour of 4 years of college, 5 years of being an engineer, and then you now stumble into project management. Like, how about if people like right from a very young, ripe age are like gearing towards becoming PMs? I don't know. What's your thought there?
See, you're behind PMI now. We're actively getting involved at the high school level. Several high schools. Calgary has one. Dallas has one. Several have classes in the high school about project management. They have student clubs that they're formed, and they're formed by the students. I worked with one in Richmond, Washington. Beth was her name, and she was president of the Columbia River Basin Student Club. And I did some webinars for them. There were about 13 or 14, and I'll tell you what, the questions they asked were penetrating, were amazingly wide for high school kids, and several of them told me clearly, that's what I'm going to do. I want to be a project manager. I don't want to waste 4 years going to class to learn how to diagram a sentence. I want to be able to start working and start now. Well, the whole area, not just PMI, but vocational training is coming back strong. Because I saw this happen in Kuwait. I used to spend a lot of time there, and in Kuwait in the 80s, the Kuwaitis didn't do any manual labor. They went to school, got a master's degree, they were a master. That's kind of the way it was. Well, after the first 18 months in us, they realized they weren't for labor. They were expats, and they had to start doing work. And they found out they wished they were educated in how to change a tire and how to do some of the things that manual labor does. Well, manual labor got a bad name. Manual labor is not a bad thing. These guys coming out of vocational school, mechanics, HVAC, they're making it now, and they didn't have to go to college to get there.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that would really help solve this, this challenge of many people retiring. And I mean, I know like many people stumbled into project management later on. Some people didn't even believe that it was actually a profession like this. It's like, okay, I mean, I've been doing this, and this profession sort of lends itself to my personality. I'm organized. I know how to get stuff done. I know how to rally people around a specific goal. To actually find out that there's a profession, I feel like many people will benefit from discovering that early on and just targeting that. All right, so let's go to questions now. You know what? I'm just gonna start from the top. So if you have questions, please make sure you put them in the chat. Hello Karanjit. Hello Ashley Long from Texas. Hello Nagandran from India. Hello Komlan from Togo. Wow, people from all over. Hello Junior from Florida. Hello Mohammed from Sri Lanka. All right. Hello Senedu from Dallas. All right. So first question is from Mohammed. I'm an IT undergraduate. I'm aspiring to be a PM. As a fresher, how can I find an internship to gain experience? When I apply, all my resumes are rejected. What do I include on the CV and what do I not? Any thoughts on this, Lee?
Yeah, I don't think we do a good job of interns because that is a great way to learn. But because of the pressure on profits and stable economies, we tend to not use that process as much as we should, because it takes a little time. Somebody's got to work with them and do some training in the on the job kind of training. The only thing I can say when you have a situation like that, like you've tried, is try to find a place that you can volunteer, that you can say, look, I want to learn how to do this. I'm starting to learn now. You need this. Let me give you a hand here. Almost everything I learned, I hate to admit this, I learned as a volunteer in California. I was a volunteer in a small community involvement organization, and I learned how to plan projects, and I learned how to inspire people, because when you're all volunteers, you got to inspire them. You got nothing else going. And so I learned everything. Then when I went into the work world, it was really so much easier for me to become effective because I'd had all this intern trainingship. So I think if you can find a place to volunteer, then you may be able to make it. If you've not offered to volunteer, you probably ought to try that. I mean, what guy's going to turn you down if you say, I'll do it for nothing?
Right.
I'll do it for free. And that's the best way to learn if you're just starting out. And then, by the way, even if you're past just starting out, volunteer for things in your organization that nobody knew you could do. And that pays off big dividends as well.
Right. No, 100%. And um, you can also, even if you're the kind of person that likes to start things, if you see an issue that you really care about, you can just like start something. Like that is a project. Almost anything, is a project. You have a specific time frame. You have a particular outcome. It could be in your local community. It could even be online. And then when you do that, like you can document the journey, and that becomes part of your portfolio, right? You can look for these things. Another thing that you can do is, if you have like companies that you're really passionate about, you can just research them online. And with AI now, it's easy. Like, what are their pain points? For some companies, like, you can even go look at their recent reviews, right, and see like what is coming up again and again and again. If you discover a theme, you can collect that. Like, even the process of finding out what are their top pain points is in itself a project. So that can be maybe project one. Then now the other thing is, okay, what possible ways to solve that? Like, that in itself can be a small 2-week project. And then you can propose this in a nice document to them. And if they respond, yay. If they don't respond, this becomes part of your portfolio. I mean, you can put that on your LinkedIn profile, right? So this is, sometimes it's not a matter of waiting for experience. Sometimes you can create your own experience, right? But yeah, so just wanted to add that. So volunteering, and also looking for creative ways to actually do projects on your own, that can help.
And the other thing I would suggest to you is use LinkedIn to find other people that have the same interests that you do.
Right.
You may end up with a group of people that say, "Well, here's what we can do to get where we want to go." LinkedIn's great for that. I have 100,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I use it all the time.
Right. No, for sure. And another thing that I will also add, Mohammed, is you can also look for entry-level type PM roles, like project coordinator, project analysts. Some of those roles, they ask for, maybe 1 year experience. So you can also look at those roles as well. All right. All right, let's move on to the next. So here, this is from Jim Duggar. The clinical research field seems to be an afterthought in the PMP. That is interesting. Um, any thoughts there?
Well, that's it's not an afterthought. I think it was. I don't think we saw the value of it at the time. I think that might be worth relooking at that. I think we did some real rustic research in the early days, but I've not seen us do anything comprehensive at this point.
I know, because the clinical research field is a whole different world. Because my wife is in clinical research, and that's how I got, like, it's amazing. I mean, they might not necessarily have the project management titles, but they're basically managing projects, like clinical research coordinator or clinical research analyst. And they have sites they carry. It's amazing. It's like they follow the rigor that they follow. It's amazing. It's basically project management, right? So yeah, just wanted to add that. All right, Sahra, hello Mukhtar, I would love your help transitioning into a PM role. Hoping to speak with you soon. Yeah, I mean, just there's a link. There should be a link around my profile. Just get on that, and looking forward to speaking with you. All right. All right. Melissa is also in clinical research. Hey, Melissa. I'm gonna skip a bit. All right. Ashley Long says, "Hello, Ashley. In my opinion, the PMP test feels somewhat strange. The way the questions are worded, the balance of the material and the timing. It's the standard for many jobs now, but I'm not sure it's measuring the knowledge effectively. What is helpful are the frameworks and best practices, but they don't always apply in real situations." Anything you want to add there?
Well, Ashley's hit on a good point. That's why we see a lot more applied training kinds of programs being needed. because we can lay the theory out. I mean, I can spouse theory all day long,
Mm,
but then if I have to do something, oh, that's not the same thing. So I think we see that a lot. I kind of going back to Jim's point, the closest we get to clinical research is that when we start to prepare the questions for the exam, that's done in a regional way by a group of 20, 25 volunteers. So we might have 4, 5, 6 groups of 25.
mm,
Well, nobody's there guiding it, nobody's there keeping track, but that's sort of our touch of clinical research is where we pose a question and then we say, what do you think? And we all talk about it and decide, well, is that a good question or is it not? And so I think that what Ashley's saying is the theoretical side. So when you answer the question, you theoretically know the answer, but it's
mm.
not necessarily how you do things. And
Right.
that probably sounds kind of strange, but that's the way it works. And so what I see it is as we try to get you where there's a baseline, and then
Hmm.
you realize that you may have to go a little above the baseline or a little below the baseline for your own personal needs, your own personal situation. So we're not trying to train an army of robots. Uh, Elon Musk will take care of that. We're trying to create people who can think and take a concept and then apply it. And I think we could do a better job of that. Actually, I really do.
Right. All right. This is from LinkedIn user. Hey, LinkedIn user. I got certified on the third edition of the PMBOK guide. Getting prepared for the PMP then was practical oriented than pure knowledge acquisition as it portrays now. The quality of PMP certification and other associated PMI certifications are dwindling because of the current architecture. To Lee Lambert, what is PMI doing about R&D to making certification pathways that are more practical oriented?
Well, again, the problem is for me is that when nobody sees that those exams are the family jewels. Nobody gets to see those. So I don't know exactly what they're doing. I know I've heard talk about it, about the test is being studied hard. We recognize when you're running through millions of people, it's got to be the best it can possibly be. And so I know they actually have paid positions at PMI. Their job is to create the best possible exam. And so we're looking at that, but how effectively or what's being talked about, that's in some very closed circles. So I'm sorry I can't give you any more on that than I can.
All right, next one from Simon. Hello, I'm Simon from Kenya. I'm trying to get a PMP certification. I haven't gotten any projects, so that I get the hours needed to pursue the PMP. Any chance we can have lower rates for third world countries or a one-time discount that we can take advantage of? Lower rates, lower rates. When you say lower rates,
Well, I'll tell you, they have. By the way, I was in Nairobi last year. Very nice, very nice. If you look at what's going on now, I mean, we've done some things with membership fees,
mhm,
make some adjustments from economic standpoint. I've not seen that on the PMP. I've had a couple people write me to see if there's any hardship thing where, because it's a lot of money. I mean, a lot of people, what it costs to take the PMP is a month's salary,
right.
and or more in some cases. So I know they're studying some way to make that possible because it just doesn't, and they agree, it doesn't sound right to not be able to be a certified project manager when that's what you do and you
Right.
do well, but you got paid based on the economy of where you live.
Mm,
So they're looking at that. They've been wrestling with this for several years, by the way. And so we want you to be certified too, but we have to be what's balanced for everyone, and that's the
right.
that's the problem when you're in. when you have 309 chapters and they're all over the world, they've all got their own stories. They've all got their own situations. So it's not equal. It's not a flat line. So we try to work with individuals on that. I know I referred to someone PMI to request a quote hardship. I don't know what that means. I was told that they have such a thing. I don't know what it takes to get that, but they have tried to create some ways that people could do that. But I even get letters from people, emails, I should say, from people who are PMPs, but don't even have enough money to renew when your window comes up. And see that now, that's just ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, if somebody doesn't keep their PMP for the $60 or whatever it is now to maintain it, that's a sad situation.
Right. No, thank you for that question, Simon. That is so interesting because, I think sometimes, we tend to think from one lens, but yeah, I mean, like, this is a
Yeah.
global profession, right? And there are different standards of living, across the world. So yeah, it seems like that should be taken into consideration. That's a really good question. This is a question for Pierre when he comes on the show. All right. So Benjamin says, what are all the possible job titles I can pursue with my PMP? Any thoughts there?
Let's see, what could you do? Well, you could, if you know computers at all, you can move into the cybersecurity project management. I'm talking with people right now that they have created that job. I'm not sure their exact title, but what they've found is they have lots of cybersecurity, lots of people that understand the process. What they don't have are project managers. So the cyber people are trying to play dual role and run the projects as well as do the implementation of the cyber issues. So what we're saying is that really is a different job. It's really not a job that cyber people should be doing. They should be doing what they do, and project managers do what they. So I think you're going to see that job description come up. Another one is in the risk area, risk project manager. Very, very important. I think it's the least understood process from a benefit standpoint of all the things you do. If you add AI, risk management's top dog because we can look at things in a variety of ways in seconds, not hours, not days, not months, seconds. And so that means we could avoid half of the risks that we spend all our time managing when we don't do risk management well. So that'd be my lead is I'd look for some kind of a risk management because that's going to use all your project management skills, but it's going to be focused on a very specific and needed area.
Right. Yeah, no, I know cybersecurity, like there's a dearth of PMs there, and that's a very hot space. Like they don't even have enough technical people there, right? So if if you can get in there, that's a nice space. Just to add, there are so many quote unquote PM titles out there, like that are not necessarily called PM, like implementation manager, delivery manager, of course program, even CSM, customer success, that you also use PM skills there. So there are all these titles. I think I did a post there on like the 25 different types of project managers or something like that. So there are all these roles that you can search for. All right. Well, almost.
Remember, it's not the title. I mean, you're going to do basically the same thing, no matter which title you have, with some specialty in the area you're in. So it's pretty easy to call almost anything. In fact, they do. They call it in lieu of a raise, they'll give you a title. So you have to look at those things and be sure it's what you want.
Right, for sure. All right. Jasmine says, thanks to Lee for the note he wrote to me after achieving my PMP certification. I appreciate you staying involved and up to date on trends within the PM space. Thanks, Jasmine. Um, all right. And sorry, Lee, you wanted to say something? Did I cut you short? Oh no. Okay. So Corey says, for those in the States, look up your state's WIOA program for the PMP certification slash exam scholarship. All right, that's a good tip. If you're in, I didn't know we had scholarships for.
There's a lot of organizations that take this on as a support process because they know that project management jobs are more plentiful than other jobs. So they're trying to help their members be. We're doing the same thing with the military. As people get out of the military, we're going to try to make them get their PMP right away because they've had all the training.
Right.
The project management training that they get in the Army, okay, they call it different things, but when you look at the curriculums they have, it's project management. So they're practically ready to take a PMP exam. They can count their experience in the Army. So they're a lot of them are moving into the field of project management now.
Right. No, I get a lot of those people reach out to me from the Army. All right, so let's move on over to recommendations now, and then we can wrap up. So, Lee, what's your favorite book?
What's that?
What's your favorite book?
My latest book?
Your favorite book? Yeah.
Oh, favorite. Oh, that's the easy one. Favorite book is a new one today, actually. Uh, it's a book written by Anand Singh, and it's the bestseller in the field of cybersecurity. I see cybersecurity with AI as what comes next. This book right here.
Data security in the age of AI. All right.
And the author is Dr. Anand Singh, PhD.
Anand Singh. Okay. Data security in the age of AI.
I have a second favorite. Let me tell you about that. That second favorite is written by a lady in Dubai. Her name is Heba Al-Sheikh, and it's just simply called Elements of Leadership. Now, I reviewed that book for her. It's darn good. I've read a lot of leadership books, but that one's more human, more oriented towards the way people feel and act. Very, very good book. I'm quite sure it's available on Amazon. So I think I've seen it on there. It's done very well, sold very well. It's been out about a year now, and small, easy read, and not a complex book, but a beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, I'll see if we can have her on the show. Amazing. What's your favorite app, Lee?
My favorite app, to be honest with you, is WhatsApp.
WhatsApp? Yeah, that's a good one.
I use it almost exclusively now.
Right. Do you listen to podcasts, Lee?
Only if I'm on them. I listen to a few. I have a short visual attention span. In other words, if I'm not involved in the conversation, I'm not sure I listen very well. But there are some people that I was on Diab's recently. Some people like that their podcasts are good things. If they're just filling time, I don't care about that. But what you did, what he's done, some others that I've been on, Callahan, I think his name is. He wears a big white hat. They ask good questions. They ask questions that let people think about what you say. So, but generally speaking, no, I don't. Basically, it's a time thing. I don't really have time to sit around and watch podcasts.
Makes sense. Favorite productivity hack?
What's that?
Your favorite productivity hack?
I'm a good writer. I'm proficient at writing. I write 3 or 4 posts a day for LinkedIn.
Wow. All right.
I'm a sports writer in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh,
so I'm a writer. I love writing.
All right. What's your favorite way to decompress?
Watch TV. Watch TV.
That's a good one. All right, that's all the time we have, Lee. This was such a treat. Thank you so much for making the time. For those that want to connect with you, how can they do that?
Probably the easiest would be WhatsApp.
Okay,
That's the easiest way. I think you have my WhatsApp already.
I don't, but I mean, like maybe after the show, are you
Let me,
comfortable with
let me give
sharing
it
your
to you.
number with people or no?
We'll give it to your whole audience.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I mean, if you're comfortable sharing, then yeah, you can send it to me.
I got nothing to hide. I'd be in prison if I did. I got +1 614 206 1110.
All right, I
And if
think
you
this
don't
is
mind, I'll hook you up with Heba Al Chehi in Dubai. She would be a great guest for you.
yeah. No, I would love to have her. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, this is the first on PM Therapy that the guest has actually given their phone number. So, what a treat. Thank you so much, Lee. Yeah, and for those of you that want to connect with Lee, please do that. He gave you his number, and maybe we can also put that on the chat as well. All right, thank you so much. See you all next week.
I
Bye.
enjoyed it. A lot of fun. Take care.
Bye.